talk about. We'll just keep talking. We'll just keep talking. Just keep talking. Talking. For so long. Ow, we're babbling on. We're babbling on.
And we're back.
And we're back. And the golden hour light is hitting you beautifully. And
Am I
we're drinking.
sparkling? No. 'Cause
No,
I'm not a vampire.
and also they just forgot
unfortunately,
to
that a
do
lot.
those effects in the later films.
Yeah, they did.
We're drinking some wine out of some metal goblets now. Are we recording?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we left off on New Moon. I kind of finished I left it all on the
My
table.
ankle.
for
Yeah,
New
you
Moon.
kind of spilled your guts.
I spilled my guts about that.
And New Moon is over.
Anything
Sorry.
else you wanted to say?
No, I think we're now arriving at the third book, which I believe is the one with the... Holy shit. Is this the chess piece or the ribbon on the cover?
I think
I think it's the ribbon, even though... Oh, someone's cracking.
it's the ribbon.
It's the ribbon out there, yeah.
Yeah.
But her hymen breaks in Breaking
You're right.
Dawn.
It breaks in.
Breaking Dawn, yeah.
Yeah. Breaking
So-
hymen.
Welcome, Breaking Hymen. Welcome to Eclipse, the third book and film in this franchise. Welcome back, Babblers. Hope you're all well. If you didn't catch last week's episode,
Circle back.
circle back and listen to that before diving into part 2 of the Twilight Saga. I'm here with Natalie Price, one of the great minds of all time. Nat, how you holding up, honey?
I'm strong. I'm sustained
You're
by
strong.
the energy and the love I have for this saga.
We're in our third hour of time here together.
I mean, I think this proves my point that I could babble on about this stuff forever
Yeah.
because I feel like
Which
we
shows
just
it was a good...
started.
You really answered the call of the babbling on premise, which is, what are you actually babbling on about?
And I could babble on about these films forever. I knew that the most in my heart that this is what I should speak about because whenever there is a song from any of the soundtracks of any of these films that is played in public, I can't control myself. I have to say, this was in the Twilight movie to like somebody who's around me, even though that makes them like bored at least and scared at most. And
Or they're like charmed. Did you ever think of it that way?
I've never seen charm in the eyes of the listener,
Honey, I hear you.
but maybe.
One thing that I had this idea, that just came to me is like, you know, the 8, you know about the classic
Yeah.
sociological of the 8. Why are we not pivoting the 8 into subject-specific test results when applicable? Like, who are you in Twilight Saga?
Oh, you mean like
Do you get what I'm saying?
of the 8?
No.
So not the 8. Like, who am I of all the Twilight characters?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Although what you started to broach is an interesting sociological.
I don't even
like
think I
if
can-
you put the 8 into Twilight.
Which one would you go? Oh, God. Of the Twilight films, I relate the most to, I guess, I don't know.
I mean, it's kind of impossible, I
I think the
suppose.
Volturi, because that's who I want to be the most. Like,
I think we have to put away want and we
you're
have to
right.
look
Like,
at
I'm
reality
not evil.
checks.
I'm a barely.
No, you're not. You're a
eat
good
meat.
person.
So
And
in
not
that
everyone
way,
is.
I'm a good vampire. I don't eat human as a vampire, I think. Is that we
So
can
you're
help there.
basically
You
Edward.
know what I am? I think I'm one of those Alaskan vampires
Oh.
that live in Denali.
Is that where they're from?
Yeah. The super Maggie Grace's character.
Wait, who's Maggie Gray?
She's an actress who plays one of in Breaking Dawn, she comes out more as the one who misidentifies Renesmee as an immortal child.
Oh, wait, the girl from Lost?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, wait. Let's
The
not
girl
get ahead of
from-
ourselves.
yeah.
But
But
those girls are
I'd
among
be
the
one of
most
those 'cause
grunted.
I do love cold weather. I would love to live in a chalet.
Yeah, they're heaven, those girls. They're kind of like the backbone of the back half of this franchise.
Exactly. So I'd be one of them.
Okay, so...
I think you're Alice. We've discussed.
We
already,
discussed
'cause
I'm
you're-
probably Alice. I have that sort of pixie quality.
Yeah, quirky.
I like to think. I was thinking of shaving my legs, by the way, in terms of trans journey. Do you want to have a leg shaving night?
Yeah.
And we do like spa night, wine.
Let's do it.
I want to shave my legs and see how that goes.
I love shaving my legs. It's so fun.
I've never done it in my life, and
the
because I've always,
best
I mean, I've
feeling.
been living as a boy my whole life. I feel like
Yeah.
people kind of forget that. Like, it's not like I've been living as a woman at all, and I still don't know if I want that. But just, I know the babblers out there are curious. Like, where are we at with
It's an-
transition? And
Top
I
of
want to try
mind.
shaving my legs.
It's the best feeling
I think it might
afterwards.
be crazy.
The worst when it starts growing in. Again.
Ugh, I don't want that.
Itchy.
So
But
then you just have to keep shaving.
yeah. Or commit to letting it grow out. Can always grow out again. It's
Does
not-
it hurt when it grows
No,
in?
no. Mm-mm.
It itches.
Just a little itchy or,
Okay.
or prickly.
I've had my share of itches. Okay, so welcome to Eclipse. Do you
So
have
we're on
on
Eclipse.
hand
New director alert.
director and release date by
Yes,
chance?
so
Okay.
this came out. Actually, the pacing of the films is never more jarring than between New Moon and Eclipse because New Moon came out on November 20th, 2009, your birthday.
Yeah.
And then Eclipse came out it came out June 24th, 2010, so not even a full year later.
They did a summer release?
Half a year later.
And did they film these all back to back then?
Yes, they were churning these out,
Though that-
and
the
that
quality
is why
suffered.
exactly, and that's why I think Victoria was recast because she had a conflict.
Oh, because it was like, we're doing this now and
Yeah,
gave
we are
no
not waiting
notice.
for
That's
you.
sad because
Yeah.
Victoria, the actress in the first two,
I thought she was good.
she's kind of like the parallel would honestly be the original Dumbledore, who is so
Yeah.
much better than the
Yeah,
new Dumbledore.
I think Bryce Dallas Howard is not like she doesn't have this kind of like bedroom eyes sexy sultriness. Like Bryce Dallas Howard is a bit too frantic of a Victoria.
Yeah.
She's always like grunting.
Yeah,
and, like,
Victoria should be a
strung
little
out.
bit calm.
Victoria is calm and powerful.
Yeah.
Bryce is too hyper. But I wouldn't say she does like a bad job. She just wasn't a good replacement.
Okay, so Vicky, we have a new Vicky named Bryce Dallas Howard, who you may know from The Help or the Jurassic World franchise. Anyway, the first note I have written down in my Eclipse notes is when he writhes, it's hot. Do we know who's writhing at the beginning of this?
Writhing. I mean, I don't think it's Edward.
Somebody who's a boy is
Riley.
writhing.
It's definitely so. Victoria. The plot of this film is all about Victoria building a newborn vampire army to get Bella.
Oh,
and the
yes.
film opens with her biting this musician in a rainy Seattle, and
Yes.
he starts.
Oh, she's
writhing
getting
in
some
pain.
twunks
Yeah.
into pain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
She's biting. All
Oh, when a
sorts of
man
people.
writhes. Oh.
Yeah, it is hot, and it's dark and moody. I do think David Slade, director of this Eclipse, did he did an okay job, honestly.
Then New Moon.
I mean, nothing.
I thought
compared,
you were
but
basically in order
I
from
kind
Twilight
of
to
am,
Breaking
but
Temperature.
I think a lot of that is because of the Vulturi Italy effect on New Moon. That does a lot for me. Seeing the Vulturi in
Yeah.
their home in Italy. We never go to Italy.
Oh, we don't
again.
go back to Italy.
They start coming to Washington.
Yeah. I think Eclipse, I remember from the books being one of my preferred books. Like, I think
remember
the
this as
story
well.
is stronger here.
I think it's strong. There's something building.
Yeah, and there's something interesting about it stemming from this seemingly side character, Victoria, emerging as this actually really pivotal plot figure.
Menace.
Yeah, like I like that you don't quite see that coming.
Exactly. And they can't see her coming because of the way she's building this army. She's letting this guy Riley, who does a great job, forget his name, but
Yeah, he looks like
he's hot to me as a vampire.
I'm forgetting if I'm thinking of the right person, and this, I mean, no offense, but doesn't he kind of look like Matthew Shepard? The gay boy who was brutally murdered decades ago?
That is an apt comparison.
And
Strong, like, bone
may
structure,
he
blonde,
rest in
and may he
peace,
rest.
and may his killers be punished
Yes, eternally.
eternally. Anyway, I wrote down they have the love I want, no polygamy. So I think that must be referring to
Edward
Ed and B,
Bella, yeah.
like, not being open.
Yeah.
Which is kind of heaven. Although, obviously, like, the seaweed's always greener. My notes here are going to be a little more abstract, and I'm going to ask for interpretation assistance.
Great, let's do it.
I have written down her flannel,
Well, she's wearing a lot of flannel.
so it must be
I
that.
think her wardrobe and wig application takes a huge hit in this film. I believe I
Budget
read that
cuts
she...
here?
No, actually, I think
I'm actually
budget
curious about
growth.
but this is interesting because they're making it on the cheap. I guess just because there's more special effects that they have to pay for.
They made this for $68 million.
It grossed what?
Its opening night, it grossed $30 million.
Oh, I was like, wait, did it lose money?
No.
That
Its
would've been crazy.
opening night, it grossed $30 million, and it scored the biggest Wednesday opening in the United States and Canada with the 68.5 million. And
But see, this is just again like,
it ultimately made almost as much as New Moon, 698.
but
million.
not quite as much. That's
Not as much as
interesting.
New Moon.
What's not interesting really is that they had just recognized they had a guarantee cash grab. I mean, that's the thing about these is it's like they're gonna make millions, of course.
Yeah.
Like, it's a beloved franchise that's
No
already
integrity,
established
no
itself. It's got
heart.
the biggest movie stars in the world at the time leading it. They're also dating in real life. Like, there was no way it wasn't gonna be a huge financial boon. What's unfortunate is that I know that people will have their issues with certain things about maybe the Harry Potter films, but actually I don't know that. Like, the Harry Potter movies are of a really high
Yeah.
caliber
I
and
agree.
quality. And, like, I'm saying that as a blind loyalist. I'm also saying that as an objective critic and observer. Like, those are really fantastically done movies that were thoughtful. You can tell the different departments had cared about what they were making and put a lot of love into it. As you've already said in the previous episode, like, the director of New Moon himself and Robert Pattinson himself were, like, shitting on the movies. Like, the people working on these, at least some of them, no shade to all of them, didn't care about this.
Yeah. And, I mean, they changed the director on this film because the previous director was still in post-production on New Moon. Like, that's just so
They needed to give it. I
stupid.
mean, I guess they were riding the momentum, but, like, you've got to take time to make the art.
Exactly.
Now I have written down. Okay, so her not wanting to get married doesn't make sense to me. She's just playing hard to get. I have that.
I kind of get her not wanting to get married because she is not, like, doesn't think of herself as a housewife,
But what is her motivation to not want to get married? Her only interest in life is being with
I think
Edward.
because she is alt. Like, she doesn't believe in the construct of marriage.
So she's just like, I don't want to get married because, like,
She doesn't want a wedding, honestly, is, I think, the
She doesn't
biggest
like
reason.
attention.
No. Mm-mm.
except from Ed.
And Edward is traditional, and she is not in a lot of ways. She wants to have sex before marriage.
Oh, that's what it is. She
And
wants to
he
be like.
doesn't.
She doesn't want to fall down the path of Charlotte York.
No. She wants to have sex
She wants
so
to
badly
test the car
that
before she
she
buys it.
agrees to marry him because that's the only way
That she gets
that she
to
gets
fuck.
to fuck him.
See, this is where Bella starts to
turn
become a
into
character
vampire.
you can really hold hands with and stand and go, I understand.
I get that.
Wait, what is it? It's, I may not understand, but I stand. That was like what, like, suburban moms were posting during Black Lives Matter.
saw that. That's
It was
funny.
like, I don't understand, but I stand. I forgot what it was. But anyway, kudos to them.
Great.
Charlie, I have written down Charlie, his lips, and you needed a friend. Jake was there.
That is,
What am I
I think
talking
Charlie
about?
says that to Bella because
And you
Jake
needed a friend.
was there when Edward left. And so one of the fun threads in Eclipse that I love is Charlie is so pro Jacob.
Yeah.
Charlie is team Jacob,
Ja-
and he will, like, he's so hard on Edward. And, like, when at one point Bella comes home late from a date, and he thinks it's with Edward, so he's like, does he not have any respect for meal times? And she's like, I was with Jacob, actually. And he's like, oh, never mind. He just blatantly is Team Jacob, which I think is funny.
Well, Charlie and Jacob have a fun thread, not to jump too far ahead, but we are going to basically get to watch Jacob strip down
that
while
is a
Charlie...
scene that I have written down word for word.
Yeah.
because it's
Okay,
the
so
craziest
let's
thing that
not
happens.
spoil, but I have written down the way they imply wanting vitamin D is stupid. What am I thinking there?
Do they make a mention of wanting
I
some
think they
sunshine?
need some sunlight, and I'm like,
That doesn't make sense.
that doesn't make any sense.
Maybe
when,
it just feels good, though, to sparkle.
when
and
Taylor
shine.
tilts head back into the side. Damn, my notes on Eclipse are...
You can almost tell you watched this in a car.
when Taylor tilts head back and to the side.
So maybe you were impressed. Impressed by that decision.
I don't know if that's a positive or a
His
negative.
acting.
But I do have written down hoodie.
Oh,
Someone had a
Bella
hoodie
wears
on.
a hoodie. It's
This is a good test of your knowledge.
Her commitment to keeping the hood on in this scene is funny because she pulls up to high school with Edward, and Jacob is there to be like, hey, like, we have been tracking Victoria and the newborns. And she's like, what the fuck, Edward? You didn't tell me that all this was going down. And, like, during this whole scene, she keeps the hoodie on top of her head, even though it's...
She's hood up.
She's hood up. And it's like, it's like, that is a funny thing to see on film, unless someone is, like, trying to be incognito. Like,
Yeah.
you generally don't have
You
a
don't
hood
keep it up. I put it up sometimes at work at Big Nose Full Body and see how long I can go. I'm always like, I wonder when they'll tell me I need to put my hood down. And so far, I've taken it down before. But they're like freaks there. If you're listening, like, just fire me. Like, I don't care. But, like, I'm always like, I want my hood up. I want to be, like, the angry employee.
Yeah. Well, Bella is angry in this film, I would say.
Because she isn't getting fucked.
She isn't getting
And
fucked.
she wasn't
Edward's
told about this plot.
insisting on marrying her, and she feels threatened by Victoria and the army, and nobody knows what's going on because Victoria is letting Riley make all the decisions for her and staying in the shadows so that Alice can't see.
That's so smart. I mean,
And-
that Stephanie Meyer ate there. She thought through, like, Alice would see
Totally.
how do we do this.
Exactly.
Although if you take it a step further, wouldn't Alice be able to see that
'cause
Victoria was setting this up?
still, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe there are holes in...
So if you're here to torture Jacob some more, feel free to leave.
That is what the werewolves say. That is what the werewolves say to Bella when she shows up to the werewolf house.
Which I have written down porn house wolves. I mean, you might not be familiar with Cocky Boys or Bellamy. I don't know if you know these porn studio houses.
Twilight?
No, these are
Porn?
Cocky
Bella,
Boys and Bellamy.
Oh.
That's Bel space AMI. Are
Blind
two of
spot
the
for
big
me.
names in gay porn.
Oh, thanks.
Bellamy is like
You learn
twinks
something
from
every
Europe.
day.
Yeah. And Cocky Boys is like studs from America. And
Okay.
basically the werewolves look, their area looks exactly like these porn houses that they have where these
Interesting.
people are
Who
fucking.
knows what they're getting up to in there?
I have written down, and I actually think this is going to end up being way more interesting than it had any right to be, which is, what was she supposed to do facially?
I imagine you're talking about... This one could be interpreted many ways.
There's ways to
but
interpret.
I imagine this is about Bella's acting.
Yeah.
A lot of her acting in this film is reactive.
But she has a really hard role to
This
play.
is hard because this film is about the choice between Edward and Jacob.
Oh.
That is the driving.
Is this
Even
when
though
they're...
it really doesn't feel up to grabs at any point.
No, it never did.
She does lead Jacob on in some ways because she gets frustrated with Edward because Edward is keeping her in the dark to try to keep her safe, and she gets annoyed at him for not telling her things, and again annoyed at him for proposing over and over again.
So she's still contemplating being with Jacob. I mean, they were supposed to kind of think that, but she's not.
But she does let him like kind of cozy up to her. He kisses her, and she punches him.
Right.
And
he kisses in the tent?
No, this is when they are taking a walk. This is right after she's kind of learned about imprinting.
Which is such a weird... Let's just quickly, for the listeners, imprinting is when a werewolf...
It's something that werewolves do.
A werewolf will look at someone else, and suddenly they are their world.
Yes, that's it.
That's it, and like imprint. So it's like if I were to look at Natalie and suddenly be like, all I want to do is protect and fuck you.
Yeah, both. They do say that it can be... Non-sexual, but I don't believe that.
Well, they only said that...
When it happens to a kid.
It does happen to an infant.
And they do actually have an image in this one, Eclipse, of a werewolf on the beach with a kid. And it's alluded to that werewolf has imprinted on a kid.
They did that to cover their bases for the flack they were coming to. Because Jacob,
totally
spoiler alert, is about to imprint on a newborn infant.
Yeah.
So
it is what it is, and they have no control over it.
All right, I'm just going to fire through a few of these. Blonde settling into herself.
Blondie. Jacob calls Rosalie Blondie.
I think, is the girl from Lost here yet, or no?
She is...
It could be her.
Yes, because she is Laurent's ex-lover. Laurent is killed in this film.
So she's pissed.
So she gets pissed.
Yeah, she's settling into herself, and she is the girl from Lost, readers who are not remembering.
And Taken.
Oh, is she in Taken too? Yeah. Oh my god, she is.
Her name's Maggie Grace.
She's in Maggie Grace. Oh, did we watch the Taken franchise together?
No.
I swear we did.
We didn't.
What? Well, anyway, she's in Lost. She's like the brat girl.
Yes.
Kate,
she's a brat in Taken too.
She's a brat in Taken, which is
she's a brat in these
scary
films.
movie. She's a brat in this too. She plays that part really well. Anyway, she's a gag and a half. I don't know if we know her real name, but
it's Maggie Grace.
Oh, Maggie Grace. Mm-hmm. Right. You're gonna love this. I wrote I gag for Weird Al. I think that's a reference to what's his name? Who's tall?
Weird Al Yankovic? Weird Al?
I'm thinking though of the old vampire.
Martin Sheen.
No.
Oh, Marcus. Yeah.
Listeners who haven't done part one, again, like abort, go do part one. We are building on things that have already been laid out. Babbling. Basically, Weird Al is the tall guy.
But he's not in this movie.
Then who am I gagging for?
I don't know.
Well, someone who reminded me of Weird Al I gagged for.
Oh, wait. You're gagging for this guy.
Yeah, him.
Yeah, so he isn't... I don't think he isn't... There are a lot of...
Who is that?
He's a vampire when Jacob is telling... Or the Culate tribe is gathered to talk about the history of the werewolves and how they came to be.
Oh, so he's just a backstory.
He's a backstory. There are a lot of backstories here. You get Rosalie's backstory, you get Jasper's backstory, and then you get the werewolf backstory, which is where Bella learns about the trick that a Culate woman did to cut her arm open to distract vampire from their target because the smell of blood.
Oh, okay.
And she uses that later.
I have some really not okay things written down, speaking of Rosalie's backstory.
This movie, also speaking of not okay things, Jasper was a Confederate soldier, which is they kind of glaze.
Did they have to
over
do that? Like, why couldn't he have been
Why
from the
couldn't he
north?
been a union?
Jasper, I have written down Jasper face not on fleek. His face is weird. Like, what's going on?
I think what they're trying to convey with him is he's the newest of them all, and he has the most trouble around humans. So they're trying to convey. I mean, I don't think it's okay what he does with his face.
Like, it looks AI a little bit.
Yeah.
I wrote down Lana should have done a soundtrack for one of these movies and played a Volturi, and that would have been perfect.
Amazing idea. The soundtracks also start to get worse and worse, and this is the last one that is even okay a little bit.
Because in the Breaking Dawns, there's some really sad stuff happening musically, which is so weird because I'm pretty sure on this one, correct me if I'm wrong,
there's actually good stuff on this
Howard Shore is composing here, who did Lord of the Rings and has made some of the like most beautiful scores of all time.
And you have Heavy in
Which
Your
is
Arms
heaven.
by Florence and the Machine, and then you have
They lost
Metric did a
track.
song, and you have
By Breaking Dawn, they're just like, oh, if we just get an indie band, it'll be cool, and they've
Yeah.
lost track of like a specific vision.
exactly.
Okay, so Rosalie backstory, the fucked up thing I wrote down. I'm gonna adjust this, but I wrote down the group blank. My dream come true. I'll let people fill in the blank there.
I mean, but I think that's a whole. What we've been discussing about this is like you can't help but be attracted to what you're attracted to. It's not
Yeah,
our fault that
exactly.
we are attracted to being slightly endangered by the like sexual.
No, this is
sexually
all
attracted
building
men.
out the ultimate like fetishistic fantasy of wanting like Edward Bella. You want someone to like own you and be like about to kill you at any moment and like want to thirst for your blood and to
Yeah.
like be on like constantly like having to fight back the urge to just like lose control because of how attracted they are to you. Like it's the ultimate sexual fantasy. It spurred 50 Shades of Grey.
Totally.
It like
And-
there's a reason
yes,
this
that
Stephanie
was
Meyer
literally-
isn't
yeah.
like she's not Herman Melville, but she is like on to something really powerful and crucial.
And I also think it's so interesting. I think
Who's
I
Herman
heard this
Melville?
on, and Herman Melville wrote
Moby Dick.
Moby Dick,
Okay,
yeah.
right.
There is also, I heard on an NPR recently, I think, that monster romance is really in right now, like monster
Oh really?
kink.
Well yeah, werewolf too. It's like
Werewolf,
obviously we've
monster
all
stuff.
thought about fucking a big dog. So
Naturally. So, yeah, I think, it's not Twilight's fault that we think this way. Did Twilight help? Certainly
they put
not.
us on.
But
Okay, so Bella graduates from high school, and this is Anna's time to
is
give a
Anna's-
big thing. Because Anna is,
The
we're talking
valedictorian.
Anna Kendrick, who plays Jessica,
Uh-huh.
the supposed friend of Bella, even though they rarely display friendship
yes.
vibes. But Anna Kendrick is the standout of the whole franchise to me. She gives the valedictorian speech. And for a valedictorian, she has quite a spunky spirit, I would say.
I think at a high school graduation, all you want is an engaging speaker, and she is that. The
She
speech
engages.
is so milquetoast,
But she
but
makes
it's
it.
in a funny way. It's like so basic that it's funny.
So I
It's
have
like-
some of it written down.
Thank
Let's
God.
see if I can recreate her lust for life. When we were 5, they asked us what we wanted to be. A princess. A gold medalist. Who the hell knows? This is the time to make mistakes. I guess I skipped over some
think
of
you
it in
skipped
my
over a
notes.
lot.
I guess I skipped over it, but this is the time to make mistakes. Take the wrong train and get stuck somewhere. Change your mind and change it again. Make as many mistakes as you can. We won't have to guess. We'll know. So that's complete gibberish with the stuff I cut out.
Those are all real. Those are all things
I wonder
she said. I remember.
what it would be if you strung it. I mean, should we just
Do you
play
want to
it?
just hear it?
Yeah.
I happen to be on it.
Let's just play it. Like, fuck it.
Okay.
When we were 5, they asked us what we wanted to be when we grew up. Our answers were things like astronaut, president, or in my case, a princess. When we were 10, they asked again. We answered rock star, cowboy, or in my case, a gold medalist. But now that we've grown up, they want a serious answer. Well, how about this? Who the hell knows?
Yes! Eat that, mother!
This isn't the time to make hard and fast decisions. This is the time to make mistakes.
Yup.
Take the wrong train and get stuck somewhere.
Damn.
Fall in love
Okay.
a lot. Major in
Bella
philosophy because
smiled.
there's no way to make a career out of that. Change your mind and change it again because nothing's permanent.
Oh, she's devouring.
So make as many mistakes as you can. That way someday when they ask what we want to be, we won't have to guess. We'll know.
Oh my god. Okay, so Bella and Jessica both in that sequence. Thank you for playing that, Natalie.
Yeah, it's such a good speech. I think
Both of them did the face.
Yeah,
Which
they
is
both-
the side scrunch mouth.
side scrunch mouth.
Which unfortunately, this is not a visual medium, but hopefully anyone listening to this is smart enough
I
to know
think
what
you've
we're
seen
talking
it.
about.
You know it.
The side scrunch mouth.
Yeah, that's smart.
Both Bella while accepting diploma
But
and
she's
Jessica
so
while
awkward.
concluding
She can't
speech
even
did that.
accept a diploma
No,
for high school
she can't
graduation.
handle it.
Yeah. I also
Um,
love this speech because it's so authentic to what I think a lot of graduation speeches sound like. Even in college, they're still saying this kind of thing: make mistakes,
Yeah.
Go do your thing.
I love
but
this
like that's
speech.
not the world Bella lives in. She can't make a mistake. She is, if she chooses to be a vampire, that's final.
Yeah.
So I
There's
like
no
the
go-
juxtaposition of the playfulness of this speech with like Bella's severe ass worlds that she has like found herself in.
So, okay, I'm going to just breeze through a few of these notes because they're basically gibberish and we have more legible stuff to get to in Breaking Dawns. But pink dog boner, do with that what you will. Jacob goes, Bella, this is what we do. You should be happy. First time he acted. Why is he sexy? He finally got hot. So I think what I was thinking there was Jacob got hot while asking the question, Bella, this is what we do. You should be happy. I don't know what that moment is.
It's something wolf related. The wolves and the vampires start to work together because they realize they can't defeat the newborn army alone.
What's more important is what I have next, which is, dude, you really don't want to start comparing stinks.
Oh, this
But-
is a classic
What is this?
Jacob sassy little line.
And I have a response line that I wrote down as a comedian, which was, oh, I really think I do. Regarding smelling another man's taint and
Yeah.
rim jobs.
You would like to be.
I would
the
like to compare
smell
stinks. And I have
tester
many
of Edward
gay
and Jacob.
male friends who would love to compare stinks.
I-
And that's mostly all they fucking do. No shade.
No tea, no shade.
No tea.
I love that line because this movie is really where Jacob is like. I think Jacob shines in this movie.
Yeah, Jacob is
because
shiny.
He is acting in a way that is, I have nothing to lose. So he can be silly, whereas Edward is so severe
Oh,
and
I see.
serious, and Edward is like constantly like getting pissed off at Jacob. And Jacob's constantly just taking his shirt off and being like, I have to hold Bella. She's cold and I'm warm. Like, suck it.
I just completely went blank for a second because I was thinking about the gain.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry about that.
It is what it is.
It is what it
you'll
is.
Take it out.
Yeah. I turned it down a little and now I'm like, wait, I don't want it to be too loud. Okay, sorry. Okay. So, Charlie groaned, which is heaven. At some point in this movie, Charlie groaned.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm sure he sees his daughter on this path to getting basically married before college. No
Oh.
plan of college, by the way.
Bella's just not wanting college, which you don't have to go to college, kids, but you should think about it.
But if
It
your
might be
reason for not
something.
wanting to go to college is so you can, like, get married. Like, she doesn't have a ambition.
Yeah,
outside of
what
just
is
being with
Bella's
Edward
plan? What is Bella's plan?
to become a vampire.
And then
College doesn't matter.
eat like woolly mammoths and fuck Edward? I mean,
I
actually,
think in the book she does
a
have a
great
plan to
plan.
go to college. She wants to go to Alaska or something because Edward can live there.
and study what? depression. Sorry. Here is something really interesting. Jacob is like Vanessa on Gossip Girl.
A bad actor.
And I'll tell you what I mean by that, because that's actually jogging a memory. Jacob is like Vanessa on Gossip Girl for a few reasons. One, he's a bad actor. The real reason he's Vanessa on Gossip Girl is Vanessa on Gossip Girl is basically the most hateable character in the world because she's constantly like putting her foot in her mouth and making a fucking fool of herself and embarrassing herself by like basically like blackmailing Serena van der Woodsen and gaslighting her into thinking that she overdosed when she was actually drugged and then trying to cry to Dan. Whatever. If you're not a Gossip Girl head, you won't get it. But basically, Vanessa's a fucking embarrassing, insane, like, sad excuse for a human being. And Jacob is basically that, too, in some
I
ways.
do think that I see the parallel in that Jacob is basically trying to trick Bella into falling in love with
There's
her,
gaslight
him.
tings.
There's gaslight tings, and he springs a kiss on her without her consent, and she punches him.
Which leads me to ask this. Is this an actual line that I wrote down? Let's face it, I am hotter than you when they're at the 10th
Jacob
threesome.
says that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I
He
wrote
says
down
that-
this scene sucks, which based on
He
the
says
previous
that,
note, I would think it
he
wouldn't
says
suck.
that that's a double entendre though, because
He
this
is
at
warm-blooded,
This
yeah.
is when they are in the snow camping to try to hide from Victoria's newborn army. It's just Jacob, Edward, and Bella, and they're in a tent, and Bella is, I guess, about to freeze to death. So Jacob offers up his body warmth to Bella. And
Right.
He says, "Let's face it, I'm hot."
Okay, I have like 3 more important things to say, and then I think we can move into Breaking Dawn, which
Sounds
is, did I not watch these because of internalized homophobia fears? I think that's an interesting point, because I think definitely Twilight was associated with like gay and girl. I don't really think that's what happened here. I think it was, as mentioned in part 1 of this,
The HP rivalry.
the Harry Potter box office rivalry. Then I have, is she doing a trans metaphor when she chooses between who she should be and who she is? Now, what is that about? Is she choosing between who she should be and who she is?
Yeah, she's trying to choose between being a human and a vampire.
Yeah. And so who she should be is human, and who she is...
Well, it depends on your POV. She thinks who she should be
Is a vampire.
But
Is-
Edward thinks who she should be is.
So I guess the question is there any trans metaphor happening there?
There is perhaps
Or
in that
allegory.
I know Edward thinks that vampires are damned, their souls are damned, and a lot of like Republican transphobic people think trans people are damned.
Okay.
A lot of religious
Sure.
transphobic people think.
Sure.
But I don't know if there's that much more to it.
I'm just checking if the food is here. Okay, so that's actually all I need to say on Eclipse. Anything else?
That's all. One thing I like about this movie is that it kind of transforms into full-fledged fantasy with the wolves and vampires
Yeah.
working together. Like that level is just, we're starting to get into crazy fantasy territory.
So plot-wise, just catch me up to speed on where we're at by the end of Eclipse. Like,
Eclipse ends with the newborn army coming to
Oh,
get
yeah.
Bella, but the Cullens and werewolves
Fight.
beat the newborns out. The Volturi show up. Not all of them, just Dakota Fanning and 2 of the boys.
which I wrote down East Dakota, which we know the Brooklyn drag queen sister West Dakota, friend of the pod. Dakota Fanning as Jane is East Dakota.
Yeah, she's certainly a queen.
Yeah.
They show up to, they are kind of, it's revealed that the Volturi are hoping that the Cullens will fall to the newborn army.
Motorcycle gang passing through. It's revealed that the...
The Volturi are rooting for the fall of the Cullen
Oh,
clan.
okay.
So they show up after the Cullens have defended, being like, Oh no, like,
Why did they want the Cullens to fall?
because they don't like the Cullens
They're too powerful.
They're too powerful. They want Alice to be part of the Volturi because she has a gift they don't have.
Yeah.
They feel threatened by the Cullens.
Okay, got it.
And they show up. They kill that poor little straggler girl vampire newborn.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Little girl dies.
Little girl dies just to really drive home how cruel they are. And then the film ends with
The ring.
Edward and Bella in a meadow.
And a ring is shown.
And a ring. Edward proposes once again. Bella accepts because it's the only way he'll fuck her. Or change her. It's the only way he'll change her into a vampire.
Yeah. / fuck her.
Yeah.
Which brings us to
Breaking
Dawn.
Part 1.
Which, okay.
It's my least favorite film of all of them.
And before we even get into the nit grit of both parts, like, it must be said up front, here again, we see a flagrant disrespect to the Harry Potter franchise, where Harry Potter 7, which is called Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, for those unintelligent fucks who haven't read it and seen it, which honestly, like, if you haven't, stop listening to this, go get electroshock and then read it. And then come back and listen to this, and you should be all good. Our food's arriving in 1 block. I can see the tracker happening, but I'll try and get this out. Basically, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows is an action-packed book that a lot happens in, and it's a really long book, and when a sort of unprecedented decision was made to make that book into not 1 but 2 movies, it made sense because you couldn't fit the whole book into 1.
Absolutely.
Okay, with me so far?
Yeah.
Then, I'm pretty sure Twilight actually was the next one to do it, but Hunger Games did it as well to even worse flagrant, stupid cash grab, honestly, because the first Hunger Games 3 is called Mockingjay. That's divided into 2. And part 1 of that is literally the most boring piece of shit I have ever seen in my life. Nothing happens. That book did not need to be 2 movies. Likewise, Breaking Dawn, not enough happens to justify 2 movies either at all. The Breaking Dawn part 1 is nothing. It's just her, like, getting ready for a wedding.
Pro-choice debate. Is it? She gets married very early in the film. She gets married within
it's a
first 30
pro-choice
minutes,
debate.
And then she goes on her honeymoon. She gets pregnant by Edward's demon sperm.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the film is watching the baby basically
punch at her
try
stomach.
to kill Bella as it grows.
It is a pro.
And
there was criticism that it was like a pro-life movie, right?
It is a pro-life movie.
Yeah.
It's so easy to graph that because, like, Edward calls the baby it, and then, like, Rosalie, who never was able to have a child, so she is aligned with Bella in protecting the child. They keep calling it baby. Alice calls it fetus, and they keep correcting her saying baby.
And Bella looks fucking weird.
Bella is scary looking. This film is very gruesome.
Pause. Oh my god, okay, so there's been a lot of changes in this land since we last spoke, including my wine glass needing to clink against yours.
Clinky.
Clinky, Andrew Jackson.
Yeah. So
where were we?
I think we were just starting on Breaking Dawn Part 1, which is the worst film in my opinion.
Yeah, and actually
directed by Bill Condon, who wrote and directed Dreamgirls. He also wrote Chicago and The Greatest Showman.
And I actually interviewed him once.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he was nice. Sorry, I just need to... I'm having my OCD. This is recording. Okay. Yeah, I interviewed him once around the anniversary of Dreamgirls or something. He's a nice guy. I think he's gay, but hard to say for sure.
Writer of The Greatest Showman in Chicago. It wouldn't surprise me. But...
So, and Dreamgirls, like...
Yeah, right, and Dreamgirls.
Talk about it.
It was released on October 30th, 2011 at the Rome Film Festival.
Oh my god, I've been to that film festival. It's Babble.
And it has a 25% on Rotten Tomatoes. Not that any of these films scored very high on Rotten
Oh yeah, I
Tomatoes.
actually wrote down Breaking Dawn 1 is 25, the lowest of all. New
Yes.
Moon has a 29, Eclipse has a 47, and Twilight and Breaking Dawn Part 2 both have a 49, which kind of does not track at all to me.
I think that Twilight was just so misunderstood when it came out.
Yeah.
I think in hindsight, some of those critics
Twilight
maybe
should have,
changed
like,
their scores.
High 70s for the first, and then I think it should steadily
Its
go down.
popcorn meter
Yeah.
is 72 for Twilight. So what, the popcorn meter being, I guess, what audience reviewers?
So the popcorn meter was at 79.
72.
Okay, so wishful thinking. Okay, so Breaking Dawn, my from the get-go take here on part 1 of Breaking Dawn is we already said the whole cash grab of the breaking it into 2 films, which is just like disgusting capitalism, like rearing its head, like they just wanted money, and so it makes sitting through the whole thing like, holy fuck, this only exists so these executives could make a ton of money. Like, this didn't need to exist. It doesn't help the story. Also, on top of that, it feels like all style and no substance. And by the way, not good
is
style. It's just like weird
No
choices
substance.
made. There isn't substance.
So they get married, which the lead up to the wedding is slightly. I mean, the wedding itself is entertaining. I love the speeches at the wedding. They're very funny to me.
Yes.
They
but
do like intercutting between, like, you know, Emmett giving an awkward speech about how much they're gonna fuck. Charlie giving some like menacing threats.
Charlie says, I know I look hot. I have written down. Did he say that?
I don't think so.
Maybe I misheard him.
And then Bella's mom, Renee, sings a lullaby. So the speeches I find to be entertaining. The wedding is stunning.
The wedding is beautiful. Anna Kendrick does devouring work
She
here.
devours.
When
Yeah,
she-
she's alluding to them, Bella being pregnant.
Yeah, she's like, who else gets married at 18?
Yeah.
And she also says something about, like, where did I... Oh, she's like, even though she's not captain of the volleyball team or president of the student council, in her speech, she's like,
She's dragging
still
Bella.
trying to do that. And then she's also... says something about the decor. I can't find my note here, but she's like, I pictured it bigger, like regarding the cake or something. Anyway, Anna Kendrick is just, to me, the only
unfortunately,
person having fun.
That's the last time we're gonna see her.
Is that it? Mm-hmm. Well, because here, again, it's like, those were the characters that kept this story grounded, and then they're just gone.
And they're gone, and then we're dealing with werewolves and their like inner monologue. The way that when the werewolves, this is the worst scene in this film to me is when, so they go on a honeymoon, Bella gets pregnant, they come home,
They fuck,
Bella's-
and
yeah.
Edward breaks the bed, and
Yeah,
it's like,
but
but
again, I
you
don't-
finally get to see them fuck, but it doesn't
Barely.
feel hot.
It's not
like,
as hot as their first kiss scene
Yeah.
because it's just intercut and it's just not, it doesn't do it for me.
yeah.
But they fuck, and then they come home, and Jacob discovers that Bella is pregnant, and that the baby is killing her, so he like runs off in anger as a wolf, and his inner monologue is like firing, and all the other wolves hear him freaking out, and they all gather like in this shipyard and have a conversation, because wolves can understand each other.
They can
without
hear each
speaking.
other. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Wolf pack conversating can
Oh
translate.
yeah, that scene
This
is
scene
so,
is so
fucking
bad.
It's just these CGI,
CGI
dogs standing there like with voiceover.
And their voices are not their actual voices. They're like slightly deepened. So it's like, "Roar, I am the grandson of Ephraim Black." Like,
It's so bad. And it's an
Uncomfortable.
issue of tone too. Like
Totally.
I have written down like, is this supposed to be funny? Is this supposed to be scary? Like none of it works at all. It's not funny unless you're laughing at it hard, like because you're on mushrooms looking at this like bizarre thing. I mean, I think you were saying that you listened to like How Did This Get Made or
Yes.
something, and it's like the podcast, and
they cover Breaking Dawn 1 and 2.
I need to listen to that because it is like, how did this get made?
And I think that to the point of that podcast, like they really loved part 2 and they hated part 1, and I think that and they're not like Twilight fans, so I really think that that's like a universal kind of read.
I mean, it's the
like,
same thing with Hunger Games Mockingjay, where it's like there was a
nothing
book
happened.
that has some important like closing. I mean, it's the last book in these big series, like both Mockingjay and Breaking Dawn. Like, there's satisfying things that will happen in those books because it's wrapping up this whole story.
Mm-hmm.
But the first half of the books are not important at all. It's just like setting the scene, or it's like the movies, everything that happened in the book happened in the second half of these. Yeah.
And I think that it's just very depressing to watch Bella lose all of her life force because of this baby, and like Edward just has to
really
watch her
weird.
slowly die, and
It's also not
he's so
interesting.
angry
It's
with her.
boring, and it's not
super
exciting.
boring. We're just going over the same discussion of like, why do you want to have this kid? And she's like, this kid is my everything. I love it more than life. And
It
it's
looks like
okay.
a furniture commercial when they're in that honeymoon suite. Like,
Oh,
it
yeah.
truly just looks like an ad for like fucking not even West Elm, like a step
Yeah,
below.
Below that.
Yeah.
Despicable.
Fucking disgusting.
So yeah, I mean the soundtrack is.
The music is
This is where I
horrendous.
think there are some gems on the Eclipse soundtrack. This is almost completely irredeemable. There is a
It's like
Bruno Mars
Starbucks
song
shit.
that is like really gross. It's called "It Will Rain." If you want to give it a listen and like.
It's
throw
disgusting.
up.
We just listened to it and right before hitting record right now, and it made us both sick, and we both vomited blood.
There's also 1,000 Years by Christine.
I hate that
Perry.
song. I
This
hate that
song
fucking
is played
song.
multiple times in Breaking Dawn Part 1 and Part 2.
No.
This becomes the theme
No.
song. It's painful.
I have written down panties, and that is in reference to Bella wearing panties and looking hot
She
and
actually
realizing we need to
finally
be wearing
looks
panties
hot.
since we're girls.
Yeah, she has a great honeymoon vacation.
Yeah, she does that.
Wardrobe.
Which is important because she's about to look like a Voldemort fetus. I have that written down.
You love sending the meme of her, like, malnourished face. Concerned, malnourished face. And it makes me laugh every time because she looks crazy. I mean, they CGI the fuck out of her so that she is just bones.
It's so bad.
It's just scary.
She looks so fucking weird.
And the belly is so big compared to her body.
It all basically just reinforces this point. I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but it's just like the higher ups just knew that it didn't matter because they'd hooked a generation, multiple generations of like horny women and gay men to create this fantasy that involves both the story and the subject matter and the actors themselves. And it's like, since Bella has no personality, it's so easy to project onto her that we all had just put ourselves into this porn.
Mm-hmm.
I won't even call it softcore because it's hardcore. It's just because of the vampire thing. It necessitates they can't fuck. And so that's actually brilliant on Stephanie Meyer's part. But the fact that they didn't honor what could have been a good movie, because the New Moon, Eclipse, Breaking Dawn are not like steep drop-offs from the first Twilight book. They're all about
terms
the
of
same
plot, yeah.
in terms of plot and quality of writing. Like the books, I don't recall being like a sharp nosedive. They're all
I find
on,
that Eclipse, I remember Eclipse being the best one.
yeah, I actually
too.
think the later books, at that point, you have more of the world. Like they're even better. But the movies are lazy, and
Yeah.
that's what's frustrating.
There's some really painful dialogue. I have written down that so Jacob's like around a lot in this because he's beginning to imprint.
He's getting ready
on-
to imprint on a fetus.
He's like having some what do you call it when it's building deep inside of you? Subconscious imprinting
okay,
on
right.
the baby.
yeah.
And he comes up to Bella and he says, don't do that. And she says, do what? And he goes, smile like I'm your favorite person in the world. Like he's full of these
I
like
don't recall
sassy little trivializing lines.
He
in
becomes
this
this
really
little, like,
severe
sassy-
situation.
like gay guy who works in PR. The best part of the acting is horrible in this movie, and a
Across
lot
the
of the
board,
cast is
everyone
really
needs
bad.
to
It's
face
like,
the
why did they
wall.
cast such bad actors? I have written down like there's some like I mean I think Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson are good actors, but here nothing is redeemable and everyone is horrible. Basically, the only scene that I think is worth mentioning in Breaking Dawn Part 1 is the choice to name Renesmee.
Which is like a longer scene than it needs to be.
It's really long.
It's really
Everyone gets to give their 2 cents.
Everyone gets to weigh in. Like it's like, should we tell?
Which
him
is
the name?
honestly good directing. Thank you, Bill Condon. Like, we needed to address the fact that Renesmee joined.
We get Rosalie's opinion, Alice's opinion, Bella's opinion, obviously. We get Jacob's opinion and Edward's opinion.
Yeah, because what?
Separately.
So wait, I have written down. This is this is what Edward says, I think, or is it Jacob? Someone says Renesmee. No, that's not too weird. It's special and unique. I like Renesmee. That's the dialogue that I'm pretty sure Edward is saying.
No, it does. He says that.
In
And
case
he says
anyone
it's-
is fully an idiot, like she names her baby Renesmee.
Which is a combination of her mom's name, Renee, and Edward's mom. I mean,
Which
adopted
Renee and
mother.
Esme are 2 of the best names ever invented.
They
And Renesmee
butchered
is something I would have thought of as like a 5-year-old. No joke. Like, I did read that in the books and I was like, holy shit. Like,
It's just Bella used to be interesting and like alt and kind of edgy, and now she's like the most cringe, like
it's just pathetic.
suburban, like those eat, pray, love signs. Like she is that mom with a daughter that
Yeah.
name. It's like
Yeah, like, oh, like Kaylee.
yeah, she's being Kaylee.
The other thing is like her becoming a vampire. So at the end, she gets turned into a
So,
vampire.
well, this is also just one of the most gruesome scenes in the whole film is Bella having Renesmee. Her back breaks because Renesmee, like, punches
I don't remember that.
her back. You see her standing, and then you see her back crack in half the direction
What
it's
the
not
fuck?
supposed to crack in
Is
half.
that like in Black Swan when Natalie Portman's legs bend backward?
Yeah, it's just like that. And
Okay.
she collapses to the ground. And then the Carlisle, Esme, and Emmett are all out hunting. And so they're not there. So Edward, they pull out a scalpel and try to cut open to do a C-section. But then it's like not happening fast enough. So Edward cuts open Bella with his teeth. He gives her a C-section by mouth.
Did you read the health problems section of the Wikipedia around this?
No.
Apparently there were widespread like seizures happening from people watching this.
Sorry.
Like it triggered a lot of people's
It's
like
so
epilepsy.
gruesome and horrifying. And then also the baby comes out. The baby is covered in strawberry jam, literally. That's what they used. The baby's covered, a real baby is covered in strawberry jam. Like, this is like B-movie horror
There was
shit.
not a real baby on that
There
set.
yes,
But
she
then
said,
how
they
come
literally
for
said, we covered a real
Breaking
baby
Dawn
in
Part 2, we
strawberry
ain't
jam.
looking at no real baby. We're looking at a computer-generated nightmare.
I love that AI baby, I gotta say. Something about her is transfixing.
Is
It's going to-
transgender. Okay, so fuck Breaking Dawn Part 1. Like,
Yeah.
do you have anything else to say? Like, it's bullshit.
Oh, I just have this line of Edward's. So the baby is born, and Jacob imprints on the baby.
Yeah.
He sees its eyes. And
That
imprints,
happens.
Falls to his knees, imprint.
Which means all he can think about is fucking the baby. Like,
Well, they say not, but we disagree.
they say not, but like they even have to address that in the movie, which we'll get to part 2 in a second.
But anyway, the wolves all come to kill the baby because the part of the pact of the Quilote Cullen tribal alliance is that they can't turn or create any new vampires.
Oh, okay.
Because the Cullens have broken this. Like, this type of shit I'm saying right now is why is this is too. Who cares? Who cares? And so
Holy fuck!
the wolves show up to kill the baby, and all of a sudden Edward says they can't kill the baby. Whoever a wolf imprints on, they can't hurt. It's their most absolute law. Like,
No, at this point, she's just inventing things to make things
I'm
fit.
like, this movie is about pro-choice debate, and then it's about the bylaws of werewolf culture existence that are just stupid.
And it ends there. Like, she
with-
turns into a vampire then, but like the ending is not climactic. It doesn't build. Like, this movie just kind of happens.
We watch her. It ends on a shot of her eyes opening, and her eyes are red.
Which is cool, but it's like that was basically a teaser trailer for the next one.
I also have such a problem with the glamification of her. Like,
Yeah.
we watch her lie on a table as her life comes back to her slowly. Like,
And
they
she
speed
fills
it up.
back up.
She fills back up.
She has mascara
And then all
on.
of a sudden she has a smoky eye.
Yeah.
It's like, is that part of being a vampire?
You get to wear
built-in smoky
dark
eye?
gray eyeshadow. Yeah.
It's just...
Okay, so enough of part 1. They don't need our words. Part 2.
They
Now
stuck
I'm
with the
still
director.
gonna
They
have to
filmed-
say-
They filmed these at the same time,
Oh,
by the
okay.
way, but they were released a year.
A year apart. So when did part 2 come out?
November 16th, 2012.
Quickly-
Obama second term secured.
Obama second term in the bag. Quickly acknowledging that big movies always came out on or around my birthday. And yours.
And mine, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving. The Thanksgiving effect,
effect. So part 2 is definitely miles better than part 1.
I find
It's still
it to be,
fucking crazy.
It's fucking crazy, but I find it to be almost its strength is how crazy it is.
Yeah.
I rewatched today and I laughed so much because it's just
hilarious.
Hilarious. The things they
If you
come
can lean
up
into
with,
it.
and then the all the different vampires coming in from different cultures. Who also, there's some surprising casting here. Rami Malek.
Oh, yeah,
an
Rami
Egyptian.
Malek
Rami
is
Malek
in
an
for
Egyptian
one scene.
vampire. Lee Pace is this.
Lee Pace devours and
swaggering
is sexy
New Orleansian.
and saves the franchise. Him and that girl's romance.
Yeah.
The like Scandinavian girl.
Yeah.
One thing I have off the bat is this would have been a great chance for there to be an incredible, life-changing romantic score moment happening, and I'm just not really feeling that, despite having Howard Shore and Alexander Desplat
Yeah,
working on past films. I don't know who did the score here, but like I would have
No
loved to
one
have
of note.
a deeply recognizable theme at this point that I can like sink into, and I'm just not getting that.
Again, the songs on this soundtrack too are the return of 1,000 Years by Christina Perri.
If that got an Oscar nom, I will end my life and yours and burn this building down. It didn't. It didn't.
Love.
No, it didn't.
Yeah. They have like one St. Vincent song, but other than that, it's really bad. And the songs are all very sappy because it's about Bella being a mom.
It's about motherhood.
Yeah.
So pretty quickly, this movie establishes what it's going to be, which is Bella jumping into the air to tackle a leaping mountain lion to the ground and kill
See,
it.
that's the kind of stuff that really this movie thrives on.
And that thrives. And like, there's really no way to not do that with CGI, but unfortunately, the patina here is quite artificial.
Mm-hmm.
It would be great. I think the solution would be if we could go back to Catherine Hardwicke's Twilight and have that layer of sepia, like lo-fi, shaky camera.
Mm-hmm.
That could have made the jumping into the mountain lion or the ripping off of Dakota Fanning's head and all of that more like visually functional.
I agree. And this movie, you can really see that it was not only shot in front of a green screen, but like that they didn't even care to adjust the lighting. Like they
Yeah.
didn't even.
They did
like
not.
if it was a slightly off, they were just like fuck.
Everyone was like, let's just get this over with.
fucking.
Including Bill Condon.
Yeah. Thanks.
Bill Condom.
Billy. So Renesmee is
Rennie.
an AI generated baby child. I think the reason they chose to do that is because they needed her to be able to like convey these weird kind of facial expressions
and look
expressions,
similar throughout.
and then age rapidly.
I have written down Renesmee is so fucking ugly and weird, and Jacob is such a freak for imprinting on a baby, and the head is so fucking weird. I don't know what I meant by
Lay
the
it
head.
on thick. Yeah, her head is
I
big.
feel a little bad at how hard I went.
Well, luckily she's not a real kid.
She's just
so
computer gen.
You can
And
say
yet
whatever
one day
you
the
want.
computers will remember that.
So I like this film because, as just for some plot context, they okay. What happens is Renesmee is born. Renesmee starts aging. We have the really thrilling scene of Bella realizing that Jacob has imprinted on
Yeah.
her daughter.
Throws him to the curb.
She beats up Jacob, and then she has that iconic line, which is after he calls her Nessie. She goes, "You nicknamed my daughter after the Loch Ness monster." And she screams that angrier than any other line.
Because it's the most angry she is the entire...
Yeah. Which I loved that.
I loved that. And I loved that scene because, yes, Jacob has imprinted
Jacob.
upon a baby. Yes, Jacob has imprinted it upon a baby. And it's important that the cast and the audience all get on the same page to acknowledge, like, yeah, he wants to fuck the baby. We need to acknowledge that that's fucking weird and creepy.
And even though
he doesn't,
they try to smooth it over with like Jacob having a line about it being, it could be a brotherly love, it could be whatever love is appropriate for the situation. At the end of Breaking Down Part 2, he says to Edward, "Can I call you Dad now?"
He says that.
So he's already planning.
When the kid is
He's
still a kid.
grooming
And
Renesmee.
also at some point, I don't remember exactly, I think we see Alice's visions where we see
see them
Jacob and
together.
Renesmee as adults who are
Holding
fucking.
hands. Well, not.
I mean, we see them holding hands and like leaning on each other's shoulders. Like, have you ever leaned on a friend's shoulder?
all the time.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so
Yeah. So Loch Ness Monster happens.
So Renesmee's special power is that she can, by the touch of her hand, convey all of her human experience, her half-human experience, memories through touch, wordlessly. So that's her power, which is just like such a stupid power that is solely convenient for the plot of the film. Like,
yeah, it's really.
and so they
Really fucking convenient.
They take Renesmee on this road trip to go visit all these other. Well, first, Irina, who is Maggie Grace, played by Maggie Grace.
And Irina is one of the stronger actors in the whole
of the vampire.
franchise.
She comes to Forks to make peace with the Cullens, and she sees Renesmee in a field, and she thinks Renesmee is an immortal vampire child, which is a very illegal
Which
law.
means basically if you are a child... So we never even said, but in this world, the rule is to become a vampire, you have to be bitten by a vampire and then fed their blood.
You're right.
Do I have
we
that
never
right?
said that, and we're sorry if
Hopefully
you didn't.
You put
pick that
the
up
pieces
until
together.
now.
Is that right? You
Yes.
get bit and then also fed their
What do you
blood.
You
Or just you get bit?
You just get bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
You
then
just get
you
bit.
have some human blood in your system from your own human
Yeah.
experience, briefly.
And so if that happens to a kid and they become a vampire, because you have to
They
survive
said the
it.
problem was that the kids
would throw
They would they would throw tantrums and destroy whole villages.
Yeah.
Massacre.
Which makes sense. Although adults throw tantrums too. Let's keep it tea.
Yeah, but I do get what they're saying, and also they said that the kids were like so adorable
Yeah.
that it was like
It was too much.
it was too much. No rational vampire would want to kill their sweet baby child's vampire because they were just too adorable. But yeah, so the
basically,
Volturi made
yeah,
that
so
a rule, and
you can't do
Irina
that.
goes to the Volturi and says, "I have to report a crime." She shows Arrow what she believes to be the immortal child, and like again, Michael Sheen
is
acting. He's
really
giddy
giving.
at the opportunity to destroy the Cullens.
Yeah.
Like he couldn't give a shit about this girl when she walks in, and then she's like,
No.
it's the Cullens," and
When
he
she becomes
leaps
his
out of
gateway
his
to
chair.
destruction. Yeah, and he's cackling.
He's cackling.
One thing we glossed over that I just want to acknowledge is Bella and Edward inherit this little cottage as a wedding gift, which on the outside is so cute, like an Instagram AI generated cottage, and on the inside is like a fucking Airbnb and disgusting. But there is one heaven thing, which is they go into the bedroom and he's like, "This is our room," and it's not intended for sleep.
Well, she's like, "Why is there a bed?"
Right, because they don't
And he
need
goes,
to
"It's
sleep
not
because
for
they're vampires.
sleeping."
And so then they fuck for like 1,643 hours, and then
Yeah.
the movie continues.
Yeah, and the sex scene really disappointing.
Yep.
and
And
they
weird,
also,
all
like,
except for the fact
they're
that Bella
trying-
is now topping Edward for the
Yeah.
first time, which is
They're
heaven.
also they try to do something really weird in this movie, which is like speak to how sexual they are and like how uncontrollable their sexualness is. But I think it would have been stronger if because like they allude to at one point, Edward is like, "Yeah, Rosalie and Emmett were insufferable for a decade.
We're gonna outdo them.
And we're gonna be worse." And I'm like, you guys wrapped up in a few days. Like,
I know.
you're not Rosalie and Emmett.
You're not
like, you're more
on their
intellectual. Like,
connection,
you
yeah.
also have a newborn baby who's
Rosalie
aging
and Ed are
rapidly.
physical as fuck.
It's a bit incongruous for Bella to be like, "I am obsessed with my daughter," and then to be like, "All I care about is fucking."
You don't get to have it all.
You have to choose. Being a mother is about making
If you're
choices.
a mother, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get it.
Yeah. So anyway, they wrap up their fuck
I wish
fest
them all a
pretty
great fuck.
quickly. And
They ended up quick, and then they go and that's when she learns about the imprint, I think, right?
that's when she learns about the imprint. And then
Charlie and Jacob. This is when Jacob
we
strips
gotta
for
talk about
Charlie.
this scene. So Jacob, Edward and Bella reveal that because they are going to have to tell Charlie that Bella died, and therefore tell the town that Bella died,
yeah.
that they're going to have to leave Forks. And Jacob, because he's imprinted on Renesmee, can't lose her.
Yeah.
So he takes it upon himself to go tell Charlie.
Which he actually did the Tiefel thing here because, why was that Tiefel? I guess because they can't leave leave
they can't
Charlie.
leave
I don't want Charlie to be abandoned.
No, and like they should have thought of a way around this, but I get that they were scared of. They can't tell Charlie that they're vampires because that would break the Volturi's law and that would get him killed. So Jacob goes to
Charlie.
I think
In
we
the
should
woods.
just play the scene.
Yeah.
audio.
Or should we try and act it out first?
Yeah, I have
Okay.
it written down.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
Oh.
the lines are so crazy. I had to write them down.
Okay, let's act it out.
Okay, so
So who speaks
this is,
first?
This is Jacob's line.
Do you want to be Jacob or Charlie? I could be happy with either.
I'll be Jacob.
Okay, you be Jacob.
And then so these are the
Okay, got it.
ready?
Okay.
There's something you need to see first. In order for Bella to get better, she had to change. Here goes nothing. Starts undressing.
So he's taking off his shirt.
He's taking off his shirt.
What the hell are you doing?
He's keeps undressing. You don't live in the world you think you do.
Jacob, put your clothes on.
Now taking off his pants. Now this may seem strange, really strange, but stranger things have happened every day. Trust me.
As he pulls off his pants.
Like-
And his dick
Is about
Wingles
to
out.
theoretically be. And the best part is Charlie goes from being like, "Stop," to be just being like, "Okay, let's hear the guy out."
I actually
He's
got
clearly
bothered by
dedicated.
Charlie for a second when because he looked away and looked so mortified, which is true to the character and is hot that he's like straight. But I was kind of like, can you like actually get into this a little more?
I actually really think he should have been more. I think he was appropriately like what are you doing? I've known you since you were a kid. Why are you taking your
I
pants
know.
off?
But this is where I actually really do feel, and I'm not saying this to be funny, like I really do feel the art and the money for the CEOs would be better if this is where it becomes an NC-17 and he watches and they fuck hard for 30 minutes
I'd like
with
to see
cum
it.
and gang bang from the other werewolves and the vampires and double penetration.
I'm open to seeing a cut.
Okay. Uncut? Why am I being that way?
Okay, so then he turns into a werewolf, and Charlie is appropriately scared, but then like kind of quickly gets over it, and that's his Jacob's way of saying Bella's different, but he doesn't know she's a vampire. He just knows she's different.
And so basically from here, we're gearing up to go to battle, and they're assembling. Am I skipping over something?
No, you're right.
They're assembling an army of like the misfit vampires from.
The arena bit happens then now. Like there's a momentary bliss where Bella says, "I was born to be a vampire," and they get like a birthing. They get a congratulatory gift from the Volturi for Bella's transformation. They're like, "Congrats, you're a vampire now."
Wait, what's the gift?
They don't actually show it. They just show the card, I think.
Oh.
It's so all is well, and then Irina shows up, reports the crime. Aro
So
is
the Vulturi's
jazzed as
coming,
fuck, so
Alice
they're
sees
coming.
it.
Alice has a vision, and she ditches town and says that the Vulturi will come when the first snow is sticking to the ground.
Okay. All right, Alice, whatever helps you sleep at night. My thing is this. Here's my thing. This looks cheap as fuck. It looks like they put 1 penny per frame,
Yeah.
if that. And then to like, if you're gonna do a big battle movie, because basically that's what this is like all building towards this epic war, right?
Yeah.
But then it's like, Lord of the Rings has done that to incredible, glorious, high caliber success, and Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King is tied with Titanic for the most Oscar wins of all time. Like, it's an epic. And if you're gonna make a movie that's centered around a big battle, it needs to be an epic. And this is no epic, and it is actually stupid.
I kind of disagree.
Okay.
I think the battle scene is epic in that, well, we're kind of jumping ahead.
We're jumping ahead, yeah. I got a little
'cause
carried away.
We
there.
gather our vampire army, which is like, it feels so corny the way they depict these worldly vampires. It feels
Yeah.
like Epcot drink around the world type of
Completely.
stereotypes.
It is. It's like racist.
It's completely racist.
Yeah.
Like the Amazonian vampires are in like a loincloth.
Yeah.
And it's like,
The girl
What?
from Scandinavia who we love, who dates Lee Pace, looks like one of the cock destroyers.
yes.
In a good way.
Yeah, they look kind of good, but I mean, the Irish vampires, one of them, the man is
Maggie.
wearing a newsboy hat.
Yeah. It's like caricature.
It's caricature.
It's lazy.
The Russians are like a joke.
Basically, though, we end up in this battle scene on a big field where...
Well, I just want to talk about
okay.
one more thing.
Yeah.
One more scene.
Why am I trying to glide?
Because this is the best scene
Okay, yeah.
of the film.
Okay.
It's an amazing scene.
Okay.
But my favorite random ass scene in this film is when, Alice leaves a note about how she's left and when the Volturi are coming, and she doesn't explain where she's gone. But the note is on the first title page of The Merchant of Venice. And so...
Oh, that's heaven.
Yeah, I think it's because it's about making your case. Like, that ends up being what they have to do when they meet with the Volturi, and that's what
Yeah.
The Merchant of Venice is about. But The Merchant of Venice, Bella sees the book, Merchant of Venice, and goes to the book and sees the name of a guy. His name is like J. Jenks in Seattle.
His name is J.
J.
Jenks.
Jenks.
J. Jenks.
J. Jenks.
Okay.
So she
And
goes...
there was the issue of her.
Yeah, so she goes to Seattle to meet with this guy, Jay Jenks, and he's this, like, portly, kind of, like, a southern-sounding lawyer who's very like, I'm glad you were able to meet me here. As you might imagine, I've chosen to meet somewhere in public. And Bella's like trying to figure out what she's doing meeting this guy here. He's not a vampire. He's just like some lawyer.
He's J. Jenks.
He's J. Jenks. And he hands over, they have the most cryptic, random conversation. And ultimately what she's getting from him is the passports for Jacob and Renesmee and a birth certificate for Renesmee. So she kind of pieces together that like maybe Jacob and Renesmee will have to leave before the battle. But I don't know. I just don't feel like this 5-minute scene between these two is necessary.
It's never addressed again, the fact that they were thinking of leaving.
Yeah, and it's just like they're trying to make this deal sexy, but it's like weirdly...
It's unforgivably lazy.
Yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to highlight that because that was something that I kind of liked, even just in terms of how random it was.
And I'm coming at this with a really harsh lens while also saying, like, because it's so far gone, this is actually a really fun movie to watch because it's like just so stupid, it's funny, and like heaven.
Of course.
Yeah.
So then we finally get to the battle. The snow is sticking to the ground.
The snow stack.
Yeah.
Stuck. The snow stuck.
The snow is stucking.
And there's some important things to talk about in this battle.
Yes.
Which the most important is how it ends.
Yeah.
And
Alice shows up.
Yeah.
And
it's kind of, you kind of have to get the whole frame.
And they explain the immortal child actually being a daughter, legally birthed.
Yeah. Renesmee was born while Bella was still human, and Edward was a vampire who impregnated her. Now, the reason that has never happened before is because no vampire has ever had... Right, and it actually has, but supposedly, mostly, no vampire has ever had enough self-control to fuck someone without killing them.
Yeah.
Which is obviously the hottest thing you can possibly imagine. But Edward restrained, and then Renesmee was born half vampire, half human.
And so Renesmee is at this point like a 7-year-old, or I guess she's 12 years old or something.
She is of no age.
12. She's 12.
She looks different.
No, in the credits, it lists her as 12-year-old Renesmee, so she's 12.
It hits different.
So Renesmee meets Arrow.
Yeah.
And, my favorite line readings are from the Volturi.
All right, let's do these.
Caius, the blonde with long hair, at one point, they're like trying to explain Renesmee, and he goes, "Artifice!" Like, hilarious. And then Aro, when he gets the story from Renesmee's touch, he goes, "Magnifico."
Magnifico. Is that the cool long hair guy?
Yeah. And then...
Oh, yeah, he's everything.
But
he's
even though Aro sees Renesmee was legally born, he still, it seems, has his mind made up to kill the Cullens because they don't know what their plan is with this half.
They think it's too dangerous.
They think it's too dangerous.
And Alice goes like, "It doesn't matter what we show you.
Yeah, so Alice
you're gonna kill us anyway."
Yeah, shows him the future.
Then
supposedly.
they break into battle.
And then this is why the battle is awesome to me, is because there's just so much death. They go for it.
Jasper dies.
No, Carlisle dies first.
Oh, really?
We see Carlisle run and Aro run at him, and they collide in the air. And then we see Aro land, and as he stands, he has Carlisle's head in his hand. Like that.
That's heaven.
Frame.
No, that's framing.
It's crazy because you're like, let's go. It's wartime. Like,
and
they just
Jane's
killed
head
the
gets
leader
ripped
of the
off.
Cullens. Yeah.
Jane throws a kid into some fire.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, that
Rami
happened at a
Malek's
different time.
character creates a giant chasm in
Is
the
that his
battlefield.
superpower?
He
like
controls
black holes?
the elements.
Oh.
So he does an earthquake
that's heaven.
that it goes so deep that it
that's
hits
what that
lava.
earthquake was about. Yeah, I saw that lava. I was
There's
like,
lava
where
at the
where
bottom
are we?
of the
Where the fuck are we?
Earth, girlfriend.
Of course.
And then Marcus has an amazing... He's the eldest vampire to ever exist. When finally the vampires come for him... Yeah. as they're ripping, he submits to them, which is what I was saying. Like, he's kind of covers the Tuck Everlasting life aspect of being a vampire, because when they come for him, he says, finally.
Yeah, like, get it over with. I've been alive for 13,000 years.
Yeah, long.
Love you for 1,000. Which that song plays as soon as the credits roll.
Exactly.
But this is cool is basically all of the stuff we just described didn't happen.
Yeah, because we
There's a
cut
twist.
back to amidst all of... Oh, the last thing we see of the battle is Aro's head decapitated, and then from his POV we see torch coming at his head.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to Alice holding his hand, and so she's just showed
him the future if
will
they go
happen.
down that
And
route.
I think that's awesome.
I think that's cool. I like
loved
that.
that.
I like that because like we needed this extreme battle to satisfy like what this has all been building to, but also like we kind of needed everything to just keep going as it was for this world if it was ever going to work.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. And then they show us a horribly tribally costumed half-blooded vampire.
Oh yeah, him.
Him, who is living in Brazil somewhere.
He bodied, by the way.
He bodied, and we learned that in 7 years, Renesmee will reach her final
Just had a
age
throat
and stop
spasm.
aging.
Yep. And then she'll
Is
just be
again
the
just, like,
perfect fuck toy for
convenient.
Jacob. We will also be learning that every vampire is going to get a credit with their name and
Yeah, so
short
let's
video.
talk about the closing montage.
Credits, which is
Closing
1,000 Years by Christina Perry, blaring for probably the 7th time this film. And we're getting the closing montage.
Black and white,
Oh, I forgot we go
faded
B&W.
transitions,
Yep,
blurred
and
phase.
if anyone was confused,
we
the-
see every character.
every character from the beginning.
Even if they have died long ago. We see both Victorias. We see
I was going to say,
Raquel
like, Bryce
Lefleur.
Dallas gets to claim Vicky, or do we
No,
get to see both?
both.
Oh, thank God.
I know, but
Oh, that
it's-
just gave me some hope.
I
The first Vicky needs her name in shining lights.
I guess it's just.
But
so
it's also
weird.
like,
It's just like, stop trying to. I mean,
Stop
I actually
trying
loved
to-
it because they were just like spaghetti at the wall.
that was actually my
Let's
favorite part
do-
of the movie. I'm not kidding. The credits are really good.
The credits are
The credits.
the song choice. I
Because
mean,
also
it's
none of the
just-
vampires have last names, and it's just so funny. It's like, and Bryce Dallas Howard as Jamie,
Yeah.
Victoria, like Ben. Like
Yeah,
they're all just
uh-huh.
named like Ben.
Dakota Fanning as
Jane.
Jane, yeah.
Why didn't Dakota get a little more runway to devour, honestly?
Yeah, and she also had such a pathetic fake death. She's like running.
I know, they
away
kind
from
of
Alice.
didn't give Dakota in this, if it had been directed and written and created by like Harry Potter caliber creators, that could have been Oscar worthy material
can't
for her.
help but
I can't
compare.
help. I mean, ultimately, I knew going into preparing for this episode, which obviously has been by far the biggest lift of any episode.
For a worthy cause.
For a worthy cause has been knowing that like this is my approach to Twilight will always forever be as a usurper of Harry's throne financially. Not that it succeeded,
didn't
but it
even-
attempted.
It attempted.
And people tried to compare.
And that was their loss and
Yeah.
their mistake. Because these films were not Harry Potter. They weren't close. They didn't have good lessons to teach. Harry Potter was
They had bad
full of
lessons.
good lessons.
Yeah,
Like I was
Harry-
always like thinking, like, what would Dumbledore do?
I know. It's such a shame that J.K. Rowling is such a piece of shit because those
God,
books,
say
I will
that.
never disavow the books or movies.
It
'cause
is
they're
an
heaven.
interesting comparison parallel to that Stephanie Meyer is a bit of a piece of shit.
Oh, is she?
She's a Mormon, and she's
Oh.
given a lot of money to the Mormon church.
I'm sorry to all the Mormon listeners, but like Mormonism is fucked up.
No, it's fucked. You can say that. It's like based in hatred. And,
Yeah. Have you read An Education? Oh no, that's not. No, that's what I'm calling it. Educated.
Educated. Yeah.
Educated, yeah.
Yeah. Scary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
educated.
But
Also, the movie and
It's just
education separately is
interesting,
very good.
Yeah, that they both have like very controversial
Yeah, I wonder what J.R.R. Tolkien
views.
was like. I mean, he died before people could really dig into his tweets. But, I mean, Lord of the Rings, it's hard to
Was he even on Twitter?
compete. I think he died long ago.
Before Twitter.
I think he has been dead a long time. I think those books are pretty old. I actually don't know, though.
Well, any other things to say?
Closing remarks would be that it's a little bit sinful that I waited this long to watch the Twilight movies. Like, that's pretty weird of me.
Yeah.
That
I
said,
had some barriers to break
I had
down.
some barriers and some loyalties. That said, like, did I need to see these movies? Ultimately,
Were you not entertained?
I was. I really liked the first one, and I thought the last one was really entertaining.
Yeah. 2 through 4.
2 through
could've
4
skipped,
are
maybe.
kind of skips, but also I think it's important to see them
I
as a
think
person
also as a
who cares
Kristen
about
Stewart
culture.
super fan.
Yeah, which I am since seeing
You do
Spencer.
have to see.
I came late to Kristen's side, but like Spencer is a revelation. I love that movie, and I love her performance in it.
And I think it's admirable how much she gave to these films, and her cause was just doing something for like girls. She
Yeah.
knew that these films would mean so much to so many
Yeah.
girls, and she just wanted to do something for them. And she also seems like a good actor to work with.
Yeah.
Based on the interviews with Rob and Taylor. Like, those guys are so different, but they had like this trifecta quality, which I'm like, she was the glue that held them together.
And
for
they all
sure.
respected her a lot.
Yeah.
And it elevated their work, even if you couldn't elevate it that much.
Yeah.
Anything else you need to be saying about Twilight right now?
No.
Do you...
I've said it all.
Okay.
Unless
I mean, do you still hold it in the same regard you did as a youth?
I hold the first movie to
Yeah.
the same regard, but movies, yeah, 2 through 5.
Yeah.
Troublesome.
And
Troublesome
6, like,
things.
I think we need to be tearful. Like, 6 is fucking insane.
You mean 5?
Yeah.
No, it's insane. But I also think
But it's
that
heaven.
I have an appreciate. I'm so glad that 6 exists, and like
You mean 5.
5. Because I also just love all those random ass vampires coming in. Like, I'm so glad there will be clips
Yeah.
of that from that film.
Also, the time capsule of it coming out when it did, like, basically they came out the 4 years we were in high school.
The Obama
Obama
first term.
times,
Like,
the
this is how I will
housing
remember
crisis.
Obama's
Obama
first
is
term.
ultimately synonymous with Kristen Stewart to me.
Their power.
Their serve.
Yeah.
Are you anything different in the 8? Right now, I'm thinking I might be... I'm Miranda right now. I don't know.
I feel exhausted and
I'm
like
so tired.
creatively
I've given
like
everything.
I've given it all, and I don't know which character. Like, maybe I feel a bit Marnie actually, because I've been so annoying for the last 4 hours. Like,
We've
I've
been doing this for
yapping
5
about
hours.
This thing that like many people probably don't care about, and I think it's a work of art, and that is Marnie.
I'm really proud of the work we did here. This
Ah.
was like the result of weeks and months of work.
Months of work. I had to rewatch films.
Same.
Because
And I spent money
forgot.
to rent several of them. Like, this is at least $15
And you
worth.
gave money to the cause that you swore never to support, which is
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
yeah.
Hopefully
Like, Harry
Amazon
Potter
Prime
will
is just
remember
taking... Okay, Nat. I love you, bitch.
Love ya.
I'll see you after this for the afters.
Oh, afters? Yeah, where are they again?
They're right where we're sitting.
Amazing.
Are you gonna close us out
I'm
in
gonna
the correct
close us
way?
out. Do you want to say the credits while I play? Bye.
And Bryce Dallas Howard as your dad. And introducing Bryce Dallas Howard as Team Jacob. Goodbye.
I'm gonna talk about all the things that I wanna talk about. We'll just keep talking. We'll just keep talking. Just keep talking. Talking. For so long. Ow, we're babbling on. We're babbling
Babbling On was created, produced, and edited by Hilton Dresden. The theme song is by Benny Cotoletta, featuring Callie Baker, and is produced by Benny Cotoletta and Jack Grouse. The artwork is by Hilton Dresden. Audio consultation from Kenzie Woodrow and Dallas Seeker. Special thanks to Alec Cohen, Natalie Rodder-Waitman, Molly Montgomery, Nick Krause, and to everyone who has subscribed to Babbling On the Substack and refused to shut the fuck up.